Hello there, my name is Jennifer Stirrup. I wanted to talk today a little bit about data literacy. This has been in my mind a little bit, and I just wanted to say I don't think data literacy is a very fair way of looking at how people interact with data. There's an obvious point that data literacy makes people think of illiteracy, that people are illiterate with data. I actually don't think that's true. I think sometimes people can choose to ignore the data that doesn't fit with their narrative. So one reason this has been preying in my mind so much is I read about the Hands detectives. Now this is the work of Professor Dame Sue Black, who's one of the world's foremost experts in archaeology. Now she was contacted by Metropolitan Police in London after some evidence showed that a young girl had accused her father of abuse. So in order to prove her case, this young girl, in the year 2006, actually recorded her dad at night as he came into her room. Now, when the camera goes on at night, it flips into infrared mode. And I don't know if you know, but infrared mode actually interacts with deoxygenated blood. And you can see the patterns in people's veins. And your veins stand out like tram lines, basically. So this young girl recorded what was happening by leaving her camera running all night. And the evidence showed that her father's vein pattern matched exactly what was shown on the video. The distinctiveness of our vein patterns helped to identify the perpetrator. So the thing is, what does that mean for data literacy? Well, Professor Black presented the evidence in court, and the data showed that at 4:30 in the morning, someone had came into that young girl's room, and the video showed exactly what happened. And it was a match with the father. Despite the scientific evidence, the father was not convicted because the jury said that the girl had not cried enough and they didn't believe her, basically, in spite of the evidence. Now, for me personally, that's totally unacceptable. I'm not sure what other explanation people found for that evidence and that data. And I actually think about that girl a lot. I think how incredibly brave she was, and I think how let down she must have been. All because not of data literacy, but people choosing to ignore the data and basically victim blame somebody in spite of the evidence. So what does this mean for data literacy? It means that we have to help people understand that actually it's not just a problem with misunderstanding statistics. That jury had a range of scientific experts on hand whom they could have asked any number of questions. The evidence was all there, and the evidence had been accepted by the jury. It was not really questioned. What was questioned was the girl's character. And I just think that's such a sad thing to happen in such a desperate situation where we ask so much of our children to prove themselves in court that in spite of the evidence, they will still be questioned on their character and whether or not they cry enough. So data literacy is part of a bigger problem, I think, in where we can see the data but really ignore it because it doesn't fit in with our narrative. So Professor Black has gone on to create a hands library where they analyse the hands in other videos in order to try and identify perpetrators. I think it's incredible work. So it has had a good outcome, unfortunately not for that girl, however. So for data literacy, I don't think it's a good term. It assumes people are illiterate in some way. I don't believe that they are. Instead of data literacy, I prefer the term data fluency. It means people become more fluent in the data that they are given and understanding the biases that they perhaps have when they are assessing data. Sometimes we jump to conclusions too quickly. Sometimes we don't see or understand the data, and maybe that can be a statistical problem, but that's something that we can figure out. What's not so well seen are the biases against the data in the first place. Data literacy as a term does not acknowledge that. I see using data more like learning a language. You learn the words, you learn the grammar, and you also learn the context in which that language is spoken. So I prefer the term data fluency because we take these building blocks and we can turn them something accurate, something meaningful, and something that has a really good impact. So I hope you enjoyed those thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Please hit my website at jenstirrup.com to get in touch if you'd like to know more how data fluency can help your organisation.